r/AskReddit. People of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing someone has said to you? A guy who was a visitor to the church where I was musician asked me if I'd take him up into the bell tower and demonstrate the carillon so he could see the swinging dongs at work. A friend and I were coming back from a fashion show during Fashion Week. This was so long ago, it was when Fashion Week was in Bryant Park. Anyway, we stepped into a little weird bookstore to get directions to a street we couldn't find. An old man was working there and he saw our digital cameras and asked if we wanted him to take our picture. We didn't really, but whatever. So he takes the picture and looks at it, then says, "I wish you girls were more exposed." It creeped us out and we left in a huff. The next morning it dawned on us that he was probably meaning the camera exposure. We were such idiots. He probably wasn't being creepy at all. I'm cringing just thinking about it. When I was 12, a man who was married with a family and who lived down the road from me, always gave me steamy looks whenever I walked past his house to go to school. One day in summer he was outside in his garden and he said, "You make sure you come back to me when you are 18. You have some serious sex appeal." I didn't even know what that meant. Kids in the 80s were a lot more innocent than they are now. The guy must have been mid-40s at that time. He said he wanted to come into the indents my cheeks made when I smiled. I stopped smiling as much on a train when I was 15 and a man walked past me and said, "I'd love to lick your cunt, yum," and got off the train. I would love to see what you look like inside. He was trying to be sexy, but holy hell, that came off as something a serial killer would say. A stranger I've never seen before reciting my plate number that I wasn't even driving that day. I was at a drag club with my buddies and a man walked up to me, rubbed my face all over with his hand and said, "You have a beautiful face." As a straight man, this gave me a good perspective on how women feel being hit on by creepos. I was standing at a bus stop with headphones on when I felt someone tapping on my shoulder. I took my headphones off and standing next to me was a tall middle-aged man. He muttered something I couldn't understand, so I asked him to repeat it. "I ain't here to hurt you," he said. And he said it again. And again. On Instagram, a random bloke threatened to saw my head off and rape my neck hole. Well, whatever floats your boat. A girl off Tinder once opened a conversation with me by telling me she knew where I lived, what my kitchen cupboards looked like, what color my sink was, and that there was a camping bed in my attic. When I worked in a casino, I had a man come in, look at me, and repeat my full name and ask how I was. I'd never met this man in my life and my name tag had my nickname on it. One time one of my students kind of lost it and told me that the prophet who lives behind the gas station told him that he and I were going to ascend on the 21st of the month. So, after reporting that to the proper people, I was then also glad when the 21st came and went without ascension. She said, "You're going to give me a baby with crazy eyes." I hopped right on out of there. One time this guy I hooked up with told me during sex that he wanted to make me fat. Fat and pregnant. I was terrified for a couple of months afterwards, even though I was using birth control. My ex, while drunk, used to tell me I smelled like skin. She wasn't wrong, but still creepy. My 3-year-old daughter recently said, "I spoke to your mother, she said she's going to see you soon." My mother has been dead for years. Then we were listening to Killer Queen by Queen in the car and she said, "Ma'am, you're going to listen to this song and then you'll die." What the hell is going on with her? But she's recently watched Onward and has learned a little about death. Anyway, I turned the song over and I'm never listening to it again. You look adorable when you sleep. I had never met this person before. I stopped into a Get-Go to take some money out of the ATM surcharge free. A woman came in after me and got my attention and said, "I saw what you did, you'll pay for that," and walked backwards out of the store. I have no idea what I did. I was at a music festival, my friends and I were waiting in line for burritos and this dude walks up in front of us, looks my buddy up and down and goes, "So you upper nice dick, bro," and casually walks away. I was pissing next to a guy that could best be described as a surfer dude and he looked over and said, "Nice Peter, bro, ha," so I glanced over and returned the compliment. Seemed like the courteous thing to do. This happened before cell phones were common. I am a blind woman, and on that particular day I was walking into a grocery store. A random stranger started asking me about my dog. It was all pretty normal until him. How blind are you? Me, enough to need the dog. Why? Him, well, I just wanted to know if you could identify me in a police lineup. I don't think my dog and I could have run any faster. I worked at a tanning salon in college and this meth head came in one night and kept screaming 24. Kiefer Sutherland's marketing techniques are a little bizarre. You're so sweet and quiet. I would trust you to suck my dick. A coworker snuck up behind me and whispered, you smell like a Christmas cookie. I was a waitress and making a 5-gallon bucket of ranch dressing at the time. Restaurants are breeding grounds for creepy shit. One of my managers at a restaurant gave me a fun nickname for when I wasn't around. He called me Closet, short for closet slut, because he thought I looked like the kind of girl who was prudish on the outside but actually really freaky. I guess he used it all the time, like, oh hey, closet is scheduled to close tonight. He would rearrange the staff assignments so he could look at me and talk to me more. Anyway, I was 16 and he was 27. He was eventually fired, not because of the sexual harassment or the physical fight with the guy who revealed the name to me, but because he stole a case of frozen chicken tenders. I can't go out with you because my mama said that your dad likes little girls. Dad wasn't like that and we had no idea where that came from. I have a pretty large freezer at home. You'd fit nicely in there. You can do whatever you want. Just say shirt off and I will. I sometimes get random nosebleeds and one time somebody told me I like your blood, it looks nice. You forgot your bra. One of the weirdest I've ever gotten was, I want to worship your ass. 2 older women, 65 plus, pulled up next to me in a car and said I'm your grandmother. A total stranger in a math class in college once passed by my desk before a lecture and said, hey, I just wanted you to know that you're really easy to make in The Sims. When I was taking the bus to work, these 2 young construction guys sat opposite me and they started talking about me, and one of them said, those lips are good for sucking. I didn't know how to react. The bus was full and I stared at my phone and pretended I never heard them. It wasn't a great feeling to be described sexually that way in public. I have shaved my head for years. Had just started dating this girl and she told me I should grow my hair out. I explained to her that my hair was so thin on top that I would basically have that balding look with only hair on the sides and back of my head. She said, I think that look is hot. It reminds me of my dad. Some guy told me in public while I was shopping that I had nice and strong-looking upper legs. I thanked him and took it as a compliment, but afterwards at home I wondered why the fuck was he looking at my thighs. You don't have a lot of meat on your bones. I mean, I know he was saying, I'm skinny, but WTF, man. I screamed because I cut myself, and the girl next to me said she loved how I scream. I don't want to let you go anymore. I would like to keep you in a hole in my cellar. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Working the apparel section of a department store, folding clothes, minding my own business. I was in my early 20s. The guy from loss prevention, an older man in his 60s at the least, usually walks by and says hi to me at some point each shift. Whatever. On this particular day though, while saying hi he comments on how well I fold clothes and what a nice workflow I have. How does he know I have a nice workflow? Well, he tells me, it's because he's spent a lot of time watching me through the security cameras.